Hello. The gentleman here in this photograph is Sir Hamid Patel, and he is the new interim head of Ofsted, which is the school's regulator. Sir Hamid is the chief executive of Star Academies, a trust which runs nearly 40 primary and secondary schools, including several Islamic schools, but not exclusively. The trust also runs a Christian school and grammar schools, with many of its institutions rated outstanding by Ofsted. Therefore, I had to ask myself why I felt so disquieted seeing this gentleman here as head of the school's regulator. I'm going to explore those feelings when I've told you that I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. The problem I have had with the making of this video is that by some means an objection to Islam has become conflated with issues of skin colour. And so you have to tiptoe around these issues, and that makes things difficult. So I'm going to make it clear right away that I do have serious issues with Islam, and no problem at all with skin colour. I do, though, feel that a style of dress is a warning sign. For instance, if you went to meet the school principal and it turned out that she was sporting a pink mohican and a nose ring, I suppose you might surmise that the school would be run along certain lines, and if you're one of my regulars, probably lines of which you might not approve. So I hope you don't take it as a sign of shallow thinking that what this gentleman is wearing now, what this gentleman is wearing now is causing me some concern. The clothing is certainly more suitable to life in Pakistan than it is to Europe, and the general impression I got when seeing pictures of Sir Hamid is that he is a man who really doesn't want to fit in. Well, fair enough. So then I thought, how would I feel if the head of Ofsted were, for instance, a religious Jew, or a religious Sikh, or a religious Hindu, dressed in such a way as to separate himself from the cultural background of the British Isles? Would I feel any different? Would I be as uncomfortable as I am about Sir Hamid's style of dress? Well, no, I wouldn't. And that's because it's not a founding principle of Judaism, Sikhism, or Hinduism, or even Buddhism, that it's their duty, either by persuasion or force, to make the whole world follow their particular religion. I'm not saying that Sir Hamid's outfit means he's a bad man, but what I am saying is that it indicates a commitment to Islam which could be bad for the British culture we have right now, and one for which I have a tremendous amount of affection. Let's just read a little bit about Sir Hamid, okay? He's the chief executive of Star Academies, we've been through that. Sir Hamid has been on the board of Ofsted since 2019 and has led Star Academies since its inception in 2010. He was previously the head teacher of Tawheed ul-Islam. That's a girls' high school. Tawheed al-Islam means unification of Islam, by the way. And under his direction, the school became one of the first in the country to urge pupils to wear a hijab outside the school I suppose the school uniform, if it was a religious Muslim school, the school uniform required the hijab, but what the girls wore outside of school hours was none of his business. And that makes me think that perhaps Sir Hamid's attitudes to religions may be more encompassing than I would be comfortable with. In 2010, his school got into a little bit of hot water. Here you are. A little bit of hot water about a visit from a Saudi cleric called Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Sudais, a Saudi Arabian cleric who described Jews as pigs and called for Allah to terminate them. Sir Hamid, when asked about this, responded that the sheikh had 5 million followers on YouTube and the girls wanted to see him. Now, Sir Hamid is the headmaster, or was the headmaster of that school. What the girls were permitted to see was completely within his control, and he obviously exercised a lot of control over those girls, considering he thought it appropriate to order them to wear hijabs when they were nowhere near school premises. Sir Hamid also says that the sheikh stayed only about 20 minutes. Here it is. They'd seen him on YouTube. He stayed 20 minutes. As if that's a justification. Now, look, if some Christian school had invited a guest who was on record as insisting, for example, that black people are inferior and need to be terminated, it would cause a national scandal. And absolutely quite right too. So, why was this man allowed to be given an airing here? Because he was a Muslim. Of course, on hearing of his appointment, the Daily Telegraph, sensibly seeing the opportunity for a good quote, contacted the campaign against anti-Semitism, and they got this from them. We hope that in his new role, Hamid Patel will adopt a higher degree of scrutiny than he appeared to in his previous occupation. British Jews will understandably be concerned that an individual who invited a man who allegedly described Jews as pigs to speak to children will be responsible for assessing the performance of schools. And it's not just Jews who have to be worried about such things. We're seeing a pandering to Islam in our institutions and even our legal system that should give us pause for thought. Remember, the King held an iftar get-together at Windsor Castle, and we see that Keir Starmer, not to be outdone, held another iftar party at number 10. I don't recollect hearing about Hindus, Sikhs or Jews being afforded the same sort of invitation into the homes of our great and good for their holidays. I think probably Nigel Farage put it the best way, and I'm going to play a little clip from his chat with Winston Marshall. So, here goes.
We have a Muslim population in Britain growing by about 75% every 10 years. Right? That's just where we are. Mm-hmm. If we politically alienate the whole of Islam, we will lose. We'll lose.
So how does one include
We will lose. By 2050, goodness knows what kind of a terrible state we're going to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you notice the look on Mr. Farage's face. That is a look of a man staring into the abyss, isn't it? But does he really believe that pandering to Islam is going to work? Pandering is not going to help, And in the end, it won't bring more Muslims into the old political parties. We already have 4 members of parliament who were elected by Muslims simply to serve the needs of the Muslim communities, the needs and the wishes of the Muslim communities. And they have already spoken out about changing British laws the better to suit their practices. And that trend will continue. We have to ask, why should Muslims get more leeway? The problem with Islam is that the basic tenet is that there should be no other religion. And that's why I'm afraid of it. That's why anyone who isn't a Muslim and who doesn't want to be a Muslim should be afraid of it. And that's why pandering to it is so dangerous. Sir Hamid might be a perfectly nice chap socially, but it's a bad sign as far as I'm concerned, the way British society is going. Let's go back to that conversation with Nigel Farage. Just look at that face. He's looking into the future in terror at the demographic change and the consequent change in our laws and practices coming down the line. In this picture, we see a man who is obviously not going to compromise on anything to do with his religion. He's not going to fit into anything. Why shouldn't I feel uncomfortable? Why shouldn't we all feel uncomfortable? Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.